AITAH for not wanting to have sex after my wife turned it into a reward-punishment system? The author of the post is listed in the description. I think my wife is experiencing a phenomena called the 7 years itch right now. We are married to each other for 7 years now and did not have any serious problems before. Around the end of 2023, she started offering sex for small gestures, such as gifts and doing chores. For the last 7 years, and since I have been an independent adult, I make sure to handle my share of chores. She offered mind-blowing sex for me doing her part of chores, which I enjoyed first. Then it turned into gifts and gestures. Mind you, these had all been present in our relationship for the last 7 years. Nothing out of ordinary. That change happened literally overnight. Great sex life. Both take care of other parties' needs by communicating clearly and respecting their wishes. Even though it was good at first, it turned into a form of reward, punishment later on. You did not do X, no sex for you. Or, good, you did this and we can have sex. I asked her what is the deal with this. She did not do it before. She said she gets turned on and feels emotionally connected when I put extra effort in the relationship. I just rolled my eyes at that. What did even change overnight for it to happen? I should have asked it back then. It has been few months since this started and I could not take it anymore. I started refusing her advances because it's such a turnoff for me. Yesterday she came to me and said, "You did the chores, I think you deserve a reward." I told her, "I do not know where you have seen this, but it's getting out of hand. I am not Pavlov's dog that you are giving threat or punishment to. Communicate with me if there is something wrong, but this change you had overnight is ridiculous. Do you expect me to beg for it and obey you in every case? You are making me feel like I have not contributed anything to chores or did not show you any gestures before that. Just tell me what is happening, because if we are going to change every good aspect of our relationship because you saw it somewhere else, this relationship will die out faster than a candlestick." She stormed out, crying, and slept on the couch. I'm getting cold shoulder now. Did my wife turn into an 8-year-old child or what? What is this sudden change, and am I the asshole for not wanting to have sex with her and calling out her behavior? I would appreciate advice, especially from women. Comments before update. Commenter: You are not a dog, you are a person. This is manipulative, and while you probably should have said something at first, NTA. Oop. At first it was pleasant. Having good sex after some small gestures was good. It added a new dynamic to our relationship. It was good until it turned into a reward, punishment system and happened all the time. Commenter: And happened all the time. I think this is key. Seems like your entire sex life has started to hinge on this system, not just part of it. Doing something transactional like that once in a while could be fun, diverting, exciting. Just another way to add some spice. But that's the thing about spice. It shouldn't be the only thing you taste. Your wife has unwisely turned your entire sexual dynamic into something transactional, which at best is going to make you constantly feel like you have to earn intimacy with your wife, and that will get boring and frustrating. It seems it already has, and at worst, it has a strong ick factor. Like sometimes my wife gets turned on when I attack that gigantic pile of dishes we've both left for too long. I think people generally like feeling cared for, feeling like someone else cares for the home they share. And it's attractive. I know I feel very attracted to my wife when she cooks a favorite meal. People get warm feelings from that kind of expression of love and care, which can turn into sexual excitement. And that's all fine. But your wife has taken that and turned it into something else, something less warm. I think you need to sit down with her and calmly, gently explain what's in your mind and why this dynamic needs to change. Commenter: NTA. That's some weird power trip shit. If sex is made into a transactional thing, it's pretty well destroyed. Maybe she thinks she's doing some empowerment thing, but it sounds like she's going for all the power instead of half. Oop. I can see she is frustrated herself for not having sex. Yesterday, I did not even do her part of the chores. She probably came to me with hopes of having sex. I cannot understand why she does that. Update: 1 day later. I was planning to talk to my wife today, but surprisingly, she came to talk to me in the early morning during breakfast. She apologized and told me the things I said made her understand she hurt me, and she felt terrible for that. She told me she took it too far without reading my reactions. I also apologized for telling her off like that and losing control of my emotions. We had a great discussion about what happened, why it happened, and our marriage in general. I asked her if she thought my gestures were not enough and she thought share of chores were unfair. She said it's not like that and there is no problem with share of chores nor my gestures. She has been feeling less confident and adding a new dynamic to our relationship by making me try more made her feel better, just like before we were married. Also, she told me having less things to do allowed her to completely focus on me and turned her on more. She also stated she was feeling shy initiating due to her confidence, and this dynamic helped her to initiate. I asked if she was happy with our sex life and me. She said she is more than happy and reward-punishment thing has nothing to do with it. My final question was if she had this kind of kink. She said maybe she felt good playing like that, but accepted turning the whole sex life into this was terrible of her. I agreed while it was good in the beginning, turning the whole sex life into a reward-punishment system and doing it all the time became a problem. I told her I'm okay with that kind of play or any kind of play as long as it's communicated. I am a freak, so no problem from my side. We had more talk about private things, but in the end communicated our thoughts and feelings to each other clearly. In the end, she told me maybe I should reward her for being a good girl this time, and this awakened something sleeping in me. I do not know if I will be able to wait for the night. Finally, there were some people demonizing my wife and telling me to divorce or find an affair right away. On the other hand, some declared me as a deadbeat husband abusing my wife by making her mommy me, even though I clearly stated it's not like that in the post. Why people love assuming things with zero information like that to make one party guilty? Chill. The problem is solved, and I would say with that challenge, our love and sex life will level up from the looks of it. Thank you for all the suggestions and help. Cheers. Okay, next story. My wife cheated on me with her best friend's boyfriend. Edited. To add something new after gaining my sanity back. Literally. As the title says, my wife, 23, cheated on me, 25M, with her best friend's boyfriend. At first, it was a three-way kind of thing that I didn't even know about. Then my wife and the friend's boyfriend were being secretive about doing things together. I didn't know about this until her now ex-best friend found out. I'm fucking devastated. We had previously split up over something separate, but we came back together and worked stuff out. She had everyone around us fooled. Apparently, she did the whole silent divorce thing on me. Everything seemed fine. I was consistently doing things every day for 2 years while battling my depression for 5. During my depression, we split. Then when we got back together, I was showing up to the relationship again. She never stopped to even check in on me or even make sure I'm okay, but expected this from me. She never once checked on my condition after I told her about my depression even before we split. I feel emotionally manipulated. When she communicated with me about things I wasn't doing, it was more in a style of attacking my character and shamming me. I dealt with this problem for our entire 8-year relationship. We are high school sweethearts. I've never seen her act like this. I got not one single word of encouragement from my partner. I'm not asking her to applaud me when I do dishes. I'm asking her to acknowledge the little changes I made every single day to make things better. She communicated with me right only whenever she wanted something. Anytime I brought up my feelings and how she isn't showing up at all, she blew me off. My emotional needs didn't matter to her at all. She was only concerned about her expectations of me and her own feelings. No, I wasn't the best partner, but I feel like I didn't even have one. I honestly think I'd be okay right now. Expect I found out they fucked in the same bed we conceived our 2-year-old son in. They knew I was coming home to sleep in that very same bed because I literally have nowhere else to go. They left their box of condoms on the bed with a shirt that said, "Express Change." I've never expired this type of stress before. I take Seroquel to help me sleep, but I have only slept 7 hours in 3 days. If this is all over the place and I'm rambling, I apologize. It's really helping RN. I think deep down inside my wife is hurting from the same thing I am. Trauma. Calm down. I know this doesn't excuse the behavior. I'm still getting divorced. Only way I would consider is after consoling and I can actually feel human again with her. I noticed that as a young teen, I thought it never bothered me, but OMFG, the slap to my face when I just thought about this. We both had very negligent abusers. We only learned how to communicate through just going about our days at school. We both had very closed out of society type of lifestyles. My stepdad forced us to be hermits, literally. Wouldn't fucking validate any of our emotions, beat us, etc., etc. Her Same type of deal. Living with her grandma because both of her parents were drug addicts that beat the fuck out of them, only them men she dated. I think she's scared to let me in. As young teens in a school of public education in the state that ranked #48 in education and in the worst county for education. We were never taught communication, and trauma can affect this a lot. The counselor at the school handled more paperwork than she did talking with students about mental health. In fact, I don't remember one assembly on depression, but they sure as hell made everyone come to the auditorium to hear about God. It's really our own systems that's fucking us. Society is not giving enough attention to children's mental health. She probably doesn't know how to say, "Hey, I noticed you hadn't been giving me the attention that you normally did. Is everything okay?" Shit, I didn't either. Until just now. I think she just expects me to do it and doesn't tell me. It doesn't matter now, I guess, though. I cheated on her too at one time, and we came past that. I think she's going through what I went through back then, when In was running around with some girl, 1.5 years after I told her I had depression. This was after I told her we were separated right now. I cheated on her with someone over Reddit, looking for very sexual things that she wouldn't do to me anymore. I think she just can't get it out of her head, and I get it, because I can't get him out of mine, and I want to hurt him. I'm going to give her what I was asking for during this time period. Distance. I'm going to sign all the paperwork soon after I get them reprinted to fix some things. I gave her the papers today. I paid to get them online and printed them off immediately. I told her, "Here, I got these because you said you were going to go them on your night out on the 22nd. Didn't want you to have to stress about that when you're trying to have a good time. And I seen we can fill it out online. So I did it all by myself, exactly how I thought it should be, but we should go over it." We did. And we're making some changes to it because I'm looking at it like we are going to be co-parenting and I'm going to have to be at a birthday party with my son with him there. I'm so worried about that. Anyways, before I left, I told her, I had to make a list of things that I hate about you because I truly ever only thought of you in a good way when we knew how to communicate. I wish you hadn't have told me that you couldn't take care of my depression because you had your own. Why would you completely disregard that feeling I just threw at you unless you aren't emotionally manipulating me? She just kicked me out, her family home. She kinda owns everything here. It felt good to say that out loud to her, even though I hated that I gave her the amount of emotion. Okay, next story. AITAH for not leaving the bathroom when a child needed it. Hey everybody, this sounds kind of stupid to me, but maybe my perspective is wrong. My friend, roommate, M30ES, who we can call Kevin, has an 11-year-old daughter who we can call Rachel. For context purposes, she has no physical disabilities or bladder control issues. She doesn't live with us full-time, but she does come every other weekend and on some weekends for visitation. Every time she does, she's always expecting people to do a lot of stuff for her that she could do herself, such as, "My dad will carry my stuff, get my drinks, plate my food, give me some of his drink, food after I finished mine because he loves me." This came to the point where Kevin actually, finally, told her last night that she can stop coloring for long enough to get her own water. We live in a 2-bedroom apartment with 1 bathroom. When I, F20S, went in this morning to brush my teeth, Rachel came over and said she needed to use the bathroom. I told her to wait and that she can't try to kick me out every time she wants to pee. This was at least the 4th time she's done so this weekend. Kevin tried to tell me that I should leave so that she can use the bathroom because using the toilet takes priority over everything else. To be clear, she came in while I was already in the process and not asking once she saw me. She waited for a maximum of 2.5 minutes. Once I was out, Kevin and I had a brief discussion in which he expressed that he felt it was inappropriate for me to make either him or Rachel wait when I was not physically using the toilet. My stance is that if someone is doing a short task, they are there first, and it is not an emergency, they should wait their turn. This seemed to be the common rule of shared bathrooms to me, but maybe I was wrong. AITAH? Relevant comments. Additional information that a friend of mine thought that it was important to mention. I was already in the process of brushing my teeth when she came over and asked me to leave. She said that she didn't have to go badly, but she did notice that she had to go when she heard me going in. Just tell her you'll be out in a minute. Giving her a lecture is ridiculous. The last few times I have told her that I'll be done in a minute, and then they both get mad at me for making her wait, even if I'm in the middle of using the toilet myself. That's why the question is if ITA for not leaving the bathroom. Medical reason? No, absolutely not. If this was medical, I would have gotten out of the way right away. She had no urgent need at all. I checked with them afterwards. Could she be trying to get help with menstrual supplies or other girl things? That is a really good thought, and I can definitely appreciate you thinking of her. She does come up to me when she needs something and asks to talk privately for a girl talk, then points to her dad and says, "No boys allowed." Something about how funny that seems to be to her makes her feel really comfortable about making those requests, which is great. Honestly, I think that she gets so wrapped up in the toys she's playing with or the movie she's watching that she doesn't even think about it until she hears someone else go. She could get a UTI by holding it. You're right, they can. But one would have to hold it for hours, not minutes. Other info. Commenter. Info. Does she actually use the restroom at other times, or does she mysteriously only ever need to go when you're in there? NTA. Oop. She does use it other times. This has been more of a recent thing this weekend that she has suddenly seemed to need it, not urgently, when I am in there. She doesn't seem to hear no very much because when I tell her no about something, for example, picking up my cat, she often whines. I get the feeling that if her intentions were not malicious and she is upset, then people just kind of give into it. But that's not something that I can observe on a daily basis, so I might be wrong. You pay rent. You get to use the bathroom. Does Kevin pay rent for his daughter? He does not. Actually, he makes more money than I do and buys the food, and occasional household supplies like toilet paper. But he pays less because he, in his own words, does not know how to manage his money, and I am paying the majority. She also isn't around too often, and her biggest cost is probably the food that she eats, but he does pay for that. Why do you allow him to pay less? Why do you subsidize him? That's a very fair question, and the answer is simple. I made a bad choice. My original understanding was that he was struggling with his mental health because he has trauma, depression, and anxiety. These things are true. So do I. So I wanted to be supportive. We were good friends before he moved in. The issue is that I have seen over the past 2 years that he is not just struggling, he's doing nothing about it. For 5 years of us being friends, he said he was going to get into therapy, but he hasn't. Now, it's more than just the money. He's barely doing chores. I just got him to start paying rent consistently a month ago, and he spends half his time not at work, not doing anything helpful because he has a headache. How he pays? He pays his share weekly, which is fine with me. Time to end the lease. Unfortunately, we just re-signed the lease, but next year I'm going to have my boyfriend move in instead. The only reason why is as a temporary measure. The roommate situation in my area is non-existent, and they wouldn't let me stay if he didn't sign the lease as well. My boyfriend lives pretty far away, but we are making plans and saving to bring him here to move in next year. Update. Hi, everyone. I want to thank the people that responded to my post. Some of you were greatly concerned about the situation that I was living in and mentioned that my roommate was taking advantage of me. You were right. He was told in no uncertain terms that he was to leave within 30 days after he had not paid rent yet again. We tried conversations, but they all turned back on how, after months of not stepping up to the plate of shared responsibilities, it was my fault somehow. He claimed that it was because he spent too much money feeding himself, myself, and Rachel that he could not pay rent. But I feed myself on about $1.50 a week with a fairly healthy diet. He claimed that he could not help clean much because he was too exhausted from his job. But I used to do something similar, and I cleaned after myself and my mom. She was sick and could not do much. He claimed that everything was my way or the highway, and that I never listened to him, right after admitting that I was always supportive, encouraging, and ready to listen. He claimed that I was making his life difficult. When he was told to leave, he behaved as though he was an angry teenager being grounded. He tried to say that he was going to get lawyers involved. Although by law where I am, I only had to give him 2 weeks since he had procrastinated for so long on signing the lease that he was only able to sign as a co-signer and not a tenant. The extra 2 weeks he received were not required. He said I've made his life awful ever since his daughter was diagnosed with diabetes. And, for context, I had to do most of the parent-type conversations on following house rules because he was too overwhelmed. If I did not want to be tripping over her things, stepping on her toys, picking up her food garbage, and more, then I had to ask. Otherwise, he would just ask her to do it, then sit idly by as nothing changed an hour later. That was just me trying to survive the times she was there. He said that. I was heartless and cruel for making him homeless and on the holidays. I ruined his life. Even though he cared about me, I clearly did not care about him and that I was just like everyone else. He hoped I was happy. He was glad I was alone and told me, good luck paying rent now. The point is, you were right. You were so right. And your encouragements to do better for myself than being in this situation were a massive help in making him leave. I had a severe medical emergency recently, and when I came home alone, I was reminded of how much happier I will always be without all of that going on in my life. So thank you. All of you. You saw more of who he was in 5 minutes than I did in years of friendship. With your kindness and the support of a friend of mine who stayed on the phone with me during his tantrum to help me stay strong, I am finally a free, happy young woman ready to resume my adventures in this world. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.